Hi, welcome to today's video. I recently came into a Fanatec CSL Elite pedal set with load cell for the brakes. And I'm going to do some comparisons, talk about what I liked, what I didn't like, as far as these pedals compared to my original old trusty dusty Logitech G25 heavily modified pedals. So let's get into it. All right, first, my Logitechs. I've had these things for a very long time, and I've modified them quite a bit over the years. As you can see, I've inverted them, which made a big difference. Gas pedal, brake, clutch, standard springs in here, except the brake spring ended up in the gas pedal because I went to a load cell here, the Ricmotech load cell kit. Huge difference, great upgrade if you're ever interested. And then the gas spring went to the clutch, and then the clutch spring is somewhere else, right? But yeah, so the biggest upgrade here was the load cell on the brake, and I really like it. It improved my lap times a whole lot and made my braking a whole lot more consistent. So overall, this whole setup I've really enjoyed using. But as I said, I recently acquired a set of CSL Elite Fanatec pedals. This one happened to come with the brake load cell kit. I bought these used off of the iRacing forums. And of course it comes with the elastomer pieces here to give you different stiffness. Now it came with the lightest, was already installed, and I tried that for a little bit, and it was too light. It was definitely too light. And I think all of well, actually here are the little elastomer bits, and they come with the 65s, right? So there's a whole bunch of them. Each one of these would be a 65, and they were too light for me. So I went to the next step, which is the 85s. And that seems to be pretty good. Been running some races with that, and I like that a lot. Okay, so a couple things real quick that I like about this set over my Logitechs. Really, the thing that I like more is the brake cell, or the load cell for the brake. I like the feel a little bit better. There isn't as much travel for that initial push. You can see how it compresses this, I don't know, foam piece here right off the bat, and it gives you that little bit of trail braking, which I like. And then, you know, you have to compress the elastomer pieces in here, and that's where you really get a little bit more pressure and control. So I definitely like this a lot better. What I didn't like about these over my Logitechs is the amount of pedal travel for the throttle and the clutch, as well as the springs in here are very light. And it could be just because I'm used to the heavier springs that I swapped around, you know, between the throttle and the clutch over here and all that stuff. But these, there's a lot more movement, and the springs are very light. So I've had to get used to that. I would prefer if I could swap out the springs here and make them stiffer. And I could probably get used to the amount of throw, or the amount of distance. If I remember correctly, I took some measurements. The amount of throw on the pedals here was like 1.5 inches. Not a whole lot from fully extended to fully down, right? 1.5 inches, 2 inches, something like that. These are probably a good 1/2 inch to 1 inch longer, with the clutch being having more of a throw. And yeah, it's just a little different, right? And I think the biggest thing for me was the lighter spring. I was definitely used to the heavier springs that I had here over these. But having said that, this is a very good set. I like how compact it is. I do plan on inverting them as well. I'm going to come up with some kind of mounting solution for this. I'm probably going to do away with the heel plate here and just mount each of these individually, which, you know, it comes for provision for all that with the mounting holes here, and then of course the mounting holes there. So this should be a fairly straightforward mounting solution like I did with this, right? Another thing about the load cell, real quick, since I got you all here, is the box, right? This set comes originally with just the two, gas and brake, right? Both spring-loaded pedals. And this box, which only accounts for the two pedals, right? Brake and gas there. And then it's looks like a 6-pin connector that runs to whatever wheelbase you're using, okay? When you get the load cell though, however, and this is what I like, it accommodates gas, brake, clutch, and a handbrake. You can use that same connection to the wheelbase if you'd like, or have these as standalone with the USB connection all its own. And that's the way I've chosen to go, is the USB. What I've read, and what you want to make sure you don't do, is connect both. You don't want to use both the USB and the connection to the wheelbase, because both connections are providing power to this box, which then basically fries it from what I've read. So one or the other, do not do both. I chose to do the USB. Other than that, everything else is pretty straightforward. It's a nice, easy installation, no worries there. And I like the options on the load cell brake. Right now, like I said, I'm running the 85 elastomers. Still have the 95s, just all still sealed up in their box, in their package here. But yeah, I love this pedal set. I spent a lot of years working with it, using it. I love what it does, and the G25 upgrade for the load cell on the brake was a game changer for me. One of the reasons I held on to it for so long. But I was able to find a good price on these, so I went ahead and tried it, and yeah, so that's why I went with it. The brake load cell here I think is better, and then just I would like to see some improvement on these here. So one thing when it comes to the differences in the load cells for each of these, again, this is the G25 mod for the Logitech, and of course the CSL load cell kit for Fanatec. So with this, we've got this foam insert. You can kind of see it here, right? Got this little foam piece. So we have this, you know, 1/2 inch to 1 inch of travel, very light pushing to get that. And we get, like I said, about 1/2 inch to 1 inch of travel before we really engage the heavy stuff, right? On here, we don't get that. We don't get nearly as much. So I'm gonna try and see. You get some travel, but not as much, and it's a little heavier too. I like that this is much lighter in that first 1/2 inch to 1 inch, where this is a bit heavier for that first inch, 1/2 inch of travel. And then it gets a lot heavier. And the reason for that is, if you look at the video that I did when I put the G25 load cell kit in here, the piece that kind of really gives you the pressure is basically a piece of hose, a really thick piece of hose. So there's not much compression on that. I'll link that video here shortly, somewhere above, if I can figure out how to do that. But that's where you're getting the pressure before it engages the pressure sensor. Here, we've got this 1/2 inch to 1 inch of travel with just the foam, and then the elastomer inserts allow for a lot more movement, not nearly as stiff as this, okay? And then the load cell piece is built in here, and it's more about measuring the flex of the pedal arm as opposed to pressure being pushed like it is on here, because the load cell sits inside the, get my fingers there, inside the cylinder here. Okay, so different construction definitely gives a different feel. I really like this over the potentiometers, over just the springs, right, and just distance travel. This is huge, but I really like the implementation of this over this. I like both, but this, I think it's just, for me, it's just a little bit better. Okay, and then I think once I get the pedals inverted, it's just going to be that much better for me, personally. And this is just all my opinion, right? But hopefully this helps you guys make a choice or decision on your purchases in the future. But yeah, I just wanted to point out the differences, or some details between the load cells and how they're both implemented and how they feel, at least to me. So one last thing I'll mention as far as a difference, or one thing that I would like to see changed on these, is on the gas and the clutch, they use potentiometers to measure the resistance and the distance and all that. I'm going to be looking for a Hall sensor update for it. I've updated both my clutch and gas pedal over here with my own version of Hall sensors, so I don't get that jittery. I don't have to worry about cleaning them. I've been running them for about a year, haven't had to clean them. Maybe a recalibration here and there anytime I unplugged it and plugged it back in. Other than that, they've been flawless as far as operation and accuracy when using the Hall sensors here. So eventually I'm going to upgrade these, but these do run potentiometers. Not a fan. Dealt with potentiometers on this for the longest time. Cleaned them for so many years, replaced them every couple of years. But now with the Hall sensors, don't have to do that. I don't want to have to deal with that crap on these, so I will eventually be looking for some solution to change the potentiometers out for some kind of Hall sensor mod. I know there's one out there, I've seen it, but I'm going to try to come up with my own. But definitely Hall sensors are the way to go when it comes to anything like this. So anyway, so there you have it. My impressions and likes and dislikes between my old Logitech pedals and these recently acquired Fanatec CSL Elites with load cell. If you found this video helpful and interesting, please give a thumbs up. I appreciate that. Subscribe as well if you like any of my other videos, and there will be more. But for now, thanks a lot for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one.